Keeping up with today's fast-paced world can be difficult. Accelerate your life with iFiber Communications high-speed internet. Surf, stream, and game like never before. Give us a call at 509-754-2600 and find out more at ifiber.tv.
Wildfire is everywhere in Washington state. Hilary Franz has only 7 helicopters, all dating back to the Vietnam War, to cope with them. But in an interview Monday with iFiber One News in Wenatchee, the state's Commissioner of Public Lands said new funding and adaptive strategies are in place to help control the fires we know are coming.
When I came into office, I knew that we needed to tackle the wildfire crisis, which is very much connected to our forest health crisis. I mean, it was number one priority from the beginning because obviously it has a significant stake to the people of Washington state.
Not just in terms of property loss, but air quality, after the fire season of 2018 left the entire state breathing thick air pollution. And the geography of fires has changed. So far this year, 50% of brush fires in Washington have broken out on the west side of the Cascades, where land has historically been damp and fire-resistant.
The awareness of the wildfire crisis we have has now reached largely every single person in Washington state. And you here in the eastern Washington, you know that what you experienced last year, you've been experiencing for the 5+ years before that. You've known how significant this issue is for a long time. I would say that hasn't been the case for much of the population and communities on the west side of the state until last year when we had the worst air quality in the world from Spokane all the way through to Seattle.
Franz was elected to head the Department of Natural Resources in 2016. She manages the state's land investments as well as its force of 1,500 firefighters who respond to emergencies throughout Washington. The cost for battling wildfires has averaged about $153 million a year, but the state has never established a permanent funding stream to pay for it. Franz got about $50 million of a proposed $55 million for wildfire response in the last legislative session, which will add 2 helicopters to the fleet and establish 30 more full-time firefighting jobs. But an insurance premium surcharge that would have generated $62 million a year did not make it out of the legislature. Franz says that was just one possible mechanism for long-term funding, and she'll ask lawmakers to study the options again next year.
As I always say, we're going to pay for it regardless. The question is whether we're going to pay to react in the face of smoke and flames and potential tragedy, or we're going to pay for it up front in a proactive way of getting on the ground in our forests and treating them to make them more resilient in the face of fire and actually have the resource and capacity to keep our fires small and contained and put them out.
Franz's department established a forest health plan approved by the legislature and recently signed a partnership agreement with the U.S. Forest Service and State Department of Fish and Wildlife to focus on forest protection. And DNR has launched a Rural Communities Partnership Initiative with about 150 economic development projects in small towns statewide.
This is an opportunity where we're really seeing ourselves as a partner and a neighbor in our communities. And, for every dollar we're able to increase on our own lands, we're also able to then stimulate even more economic opportunity in that community that has a win for everybody.
Jefferson Robbins, iFiber One News.